Hello, my name is Daniel Underwood. Welcome to my garden here in southeast UK in Essex. More and more people are getting into gardening now, which I think is brilliant. And today I'm going to be making a video showing you how to make your garden or your allotment more time efficient, enjoyable and productive. So I'm going to go into my polytunnel. This is a 6 metre by 3 metre polytunnel, which is about 19.5 feet by 10 feet. We'll have a look inside and you can see what's happening. So I put this polytunnel up last May. I'll link the video down below where I put it up. And I think including everything, including the actual polytunnel itself, the cover and the frame, this is a Feel Good UK polytunnel. And all the groundwork I put down underneath it, I think it was about £400 in total, plus the 2 days that I had to take off of work to put it up. Now here is my propagation station that I've made out of materials that I had available. So the boards on the top here I actually picked up off the side of the road in front of someone's house. There was a sign saying for free, so I took them, and they've been very useful indeed. And underneath there it's actually supported using some polystyrene boxes that I managed to acquire as well. So you can see my propagation station there, so supported by the boxes there. And there's a table there. Once again, I picked that up in a garden clearance I did for someone, and you can see my pots on top of here. So this is a low cost approach, and you can see just how much I have growing on here. So I'm just going to take the camera around and you can see the variety of seedlings, etc, etc. Now here you can see I've got some cell trays with the growing mediums in. So say from left to right here, what I've got is this one is the multi-purpose compost mixed with the sharp sand, and here is just the multi-purpose compost. And what I'm going to be doing is sowing the same seeds in each one from the same packet, and then we can see which one does the best. So I can illustrate that here. So spinach here and lettuce here all the year round. Sown that on the 7th of March, and the all the year round lettuce also on the 7th of March. So we'll see how these do in comparison. And one thing that's really nice to do is to write the date in which you sown your seeds on the tag. Write what it is. So for example, this lettuce all the year round, so you write lettuce and the variety all the year round, and then that way you know, and you've got a reference point for the future. And that can be really good because maybe next year or later in the year you want to do some sowing of the same thing, and you can see how you did in it the previous year. And I think that's a very useful thing to implement into your gardening. So one good thing about bringing your seedlings on in a protected environment such as a polytunnel or greenhouse is the fact that you can protect them from predators. So for example, this little gem cos lettuce here really wouldn't be that difficult for a bird or a slug, if they were out in the open ground, to eat them, and we don't want that. So unless I leave the door open and forget, a bird is not going to get in there, and I like to think a slug is not going to make its way up here and eat them. So nice protected environment. Now I can also illustrate the point here with these Oscar early peas. Now peas are known for getting eaten off by mice when they're just above the ground. Well, you can bring them on here, let them get to a bigger size, and then plant them out. Got some more peas here, you can see they made a nice size. These are ready for planting out. And Oscar here, and tall climbing pea here, champion of England. Now I'm going to demonstrate the benefit or potential benefit of early sowing. So in here, under this cloche, which will protect from birds, I've got Japanese green Komatsuna planted in here, and I've also got Westland Autumn curly kale. Now both of these, if I remember correctly, I started off in January on an indoor windowsill. I then moved them out into the polytunnel so they didn't get leggy, and then planted them out here 2 or 3 days ago. And they're doing quite well. So as I stated before, you must protect them from birds. Now with regards to Komatsuna, I don't remember slugs, snails nor birds liking it too much last year, but I would still recommend protecting them. Definitely protect kale, brassicas, because so many things love them, particularly the cabbage white butterflies laying eggs on them in the summer. So these are planted out. Now these are fully hardy, so of course anything you plant out at this time of year, or indeed anything you take into an unheated polytunnel, unless you're planning to give it additional protection, you need to ensure that it's hardy, because the frost could easily kill it if you put something out there that is not suitable. Planted under this cloche here, I have lettuce all the year round, I have lettuce winter gem, and I also have Ophanum 2 flower of spring cabbage. Now, once again, these are fully hardy, fully protected under here. Now, with regards to cloches such as these, you want to make sure that they don't blow away. So what I've done is I've actually put cut-off fence posts on them, because that's what I've got. But another option could be tent pegs. Now, I don't know if you can see it from here, I hope you can. I've got some winter density lettuce here. And this is actually under the protection of the top of a windowsill propagator. That'll keep the birds off, and it's weighted down with some stones on the top there. One of the points I like to get over in my videos is to work with what you've got, even if it's not optimal, even if it's not the best, okay? Because what you can do, once you start, you can then start working towards what is considered ideal. And this part of the garden here doesn't get much sun. Now, although it's a south-facing garden, it's overshadowed with buildings, etc., and it really does not get much direct sunlight in this area. In fact, I'm not really sure if it gets any, but in a subsequent video I will work out hopefully how much sunlight this actually gets and then inform you. However, I've generally always cultivated it here, and one year I grew some winter, what was it? They were Victor winter squash, and I also grew some Bennings green tint patty pan squash, and they've done well here. So, you know, if this is what you've got, then work with it. I'm not suggesting you try and grow something like melons or peppers, chilies, something that really likes the sunny weather in an area like this, but go for something that you could do well with, such as brassicas, lettuce, and see how you go, and then gradually work towards where you want to get to. Now, composting is a subject which really can confuse people. Now, it's a very important subject because feeding your soil and not the actual plants is a great way to gardening success. Now, I'm actually making a little bit of compost in this large plant pot here. Now, I'm making this out of some very readily available ingredients, and the two ingredients in this that I know of anyway, the main composition is grass clippings and also leaves. Now, they're from a hornbeam tree. I picked them up off the ground last year and I kept them, and what I've got here is it mixed with the grass clippings. It's a percentage of about 60% grass, which is known as a green, a nitrogen source, and 40% of the leaves, which is known as a brown, a carbon source. Now, I'm leaving it in here. It's really starting to break down nicely. It's got a lovely earthy smell there. It's moist enough to do its job. Now, you don't want compost to be too moist when it's working, because it won't break down properly. So when I mixed it all together initially, I put some water with it and also a cup of white sugar, just granulated sugar, and I'm literally just leaving it in here and I'm squeezing it like that. There's no big loads of water coming out, and it feels just about right to me. And so if you want to get into composting, you could just do something like this, and once again this moves you towards a very important subject, and it's not too stressful, and it's the concept of it is not too difficult. You know, get 60% grass, 40% leaves, mix it together, put it in a bucket such as, or a pot such as this, put a cup of white sugar in with it and a watering can full of water, and then leave it. And then maybe when it completely dries out or gets close to it, then give it a bit more water. But yeah, composting doesn't have to be complicated, and I think this could be a great way of getting into it. These are 3 Dalek compost bins. Now, started them off last year and I've not turned them once. So if you don't have time to turn your compost, don't worry about it. Once again, I've got a ratio here of about 40% carbon to 60% nitrogen. 50-50 would also be another ratio that I would consider using, and they really are going down. I regularly top these up with greens and browns, grass clippings, sawdust, kitchen green waste, put it in here and just let it do its thing. You know, a bit of patience, let it work for you, and don't be over the top about wanting to get involved too much, because, you know, there are natural things in there doing it for us. So you get a lot of the idea there. You can see what I've got in here. So sawdust, kitchen greens, and if I take it down here, I'll just pop this bottom off. There you go, and you can really see that's working really well in there. So certainly on its way to being usable compost. Probably about eight months or so after I started it, maybe less than that, and once again I've not turned it once. Now I'm in my other polytunnel, which is a 3 meters by 2 meter polytunnel. That's about 10 feet by 6.5 feet. So this is one of my peach trees. This is variety Dixie Red, and it's been growing in the ground here in this polytunnel for about 3 or 4 years now. Before that I had another location growing in a pot. Does really well, crops heavily every year. I've just pruned it, so hopefully we can get a nice crop this year. Now, with regards to peaches and nectarines, they can often suffer from a condition called peach leaf curl. Now, the way that I avoid that is by growing it under cover to avoid winter rainfall. Now, I do get sometimes people contact me and say they grow peach trees outside perfectly okay with no peach leaf curl, but that certainly wasn't the case in my experience. So I basically rectified that situation by growing it undercover year round in a polytunnel. Still gets winter chill because it does get cold in here, but yet it's protected from the winter rainfall, and I've never had peach leaf curl here and had some lovely crops. So I'm going to link a peach video down below so you can see just how well this crops, and peach growing is perfectly possible here in the UK, and it can be a great exotic to grow. Now here I have a raised bed, and what it is topsoil that I had, and on top of it is partially composted grass clippings. Some of you may remember that I had a compost bin that I built here out of pallets. I put this fence panel here, screwed it to the fence so that the panel behind was protected from the grass clippings, and what I've done is literally put them on top of the topsoil here. So I've got a lovely no-dig bed already here waiting for planting in a few weeks. Now I'm going to show you something here. You can see I've got these pots here. Now, lovely and convenient here, because what I'm probably going to do is have some potatoes growing in containers here. Variety Swift, which I grew last year, will be one variety, but actually this is a gardening no-no, because what this is doing right now, this is giving home to slugs. So of course, if this is all full of lovely lettuce, etc., and you're giving homes to slugs, so what you want to try and do is keep your garden, keep your allotment clear, clean and tidy, because slugs, snails, they need hiding places, they need homes, and you can give them very easily with pots such as this. Under the lips here they love, at the bottom they love clinging to the bottom there. So basically, keep your garden, keep your allotment, keep your growing area nice and tidy. Of course, if one has a rather large growing area, bigger garden, you know, I can have these way over there away from growing vegetables, or potential areas for growing vegetables. Of course, once again, one does have to make do with what they've got, but you get the idea. Do not give slugs and snails homes. This is Nectarine variety Lord Napier, and same issues with peach leaf curl as peaches, but growing in the polytunnel to protect it from that, and it's also being grown in a pot which has been sunk into the ground. So it's about a 25 to 30 litre pot. Now, I'd love to have it here in the ground in the polytunnel, but I can't do that. So next best thing is to have it in the pot there. Now, it should be able to make a nice size. Should be able to let it get, you know, up to about here. I'll have to prune it to the size I want it. Now, I could see the buds here, as with the peach tree, they're not too far off of bursting, which is absolutely lovely. So I'm expecting a nice crop off of this year, and that would be wonderful. I hope you enjoyed that, people. Got loads more to come. Hopefully going to be doing an orchard tour when the buds burst, so that's something to look forward to. If you like my work, please feel free to like, share and subscribe, and you can always check me out on Dan_Home Gardens on Instagram if indeed you're interested. Thank you very much for viewing.